Your life savings, the hard-won equity locked in your property, just got secretly cut in half, and you have absolutely no idea it's already happened. Right now, as you're watching this, a countdown timer is ticking on your entire property portfolio. That clock started the very second the new budget was announced. The worst part? By the time the scale of this betrayal sinks in for most people, it will be far too late to save everything they've worked for. This isn't just speculation or some fear-mongering headline. The damage is already in motion. If you own a single brick in the UK, you need to hear this before you lose the wealth you spent decades building. Because this budget was never designed to just tweak the system. It was engineered to fundamentally reshape who is even allowed to build wealth through property in this country. And the terrifying truth is, the vast majority of landlords and property owners are walking around completely oblivious to the financial grenade that just exploded beneath them. This channel is here to give you the truth that the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. We break down these complex, high-stakes shifts into clear, actionable intelligence so you can stay ahead of the game. If you want to protect your assets, adapt to the new rules, and make sure you're always the one who sees the change coming, not the one who gets crushed by it, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Your financial future depends on knowing what's coming next. Let's start with the one everyone is whispering about, high-end property wealth tax. Any home valued over £2 million? You're now on the hook for an extra £25,000 annual payment starting in 2028. Hit the £5 million mark and congratulations, you've just been handed a £75,000 yearly bill. But here is the mind-bending twist, the part that proves this entire policy is a massive deception. You don't need to own one of these mansions to be financially crushed by it. Less than 1% of UK homes fall into this bracket. The government knew this. They knew this tax wouldn't generate much revenue. This whole thing is a carefully crafted smokescreen. The real danger is the psychological shockwave already ripping through the entire property market. Estate agents I've spoken to are saying luxury viewings have completely dropped off a cliff. When the top tier of the market freezes, it's like a massive clot in the system, and everything below it, every rung on the ladder, starts to slow down and suffocate. People at every level see this tax, they panic, and they pull back their capital. It's an engineered crisis of confidence meant to slow the entire market down. They want you focused on the oligarchs, but the real damage is happening in the places you're not even looking. This is just the distraction. The real devastation is buried deep inside the budget documents. Buried in the fine print is a change so fundamentally devastating that wealth advisors and property investment seminar organizers are literally rewriting their entire curriculum overnight. Starting in 2029, the amount you can salary sacrifice into your company pension is being brutally capped at just £2,000 per year. Why should pension rules matter in a property discussion? Because for decades, this has been one of the most powerful, tax-efficient wealth-building tools for company directors and serious landlords. We're talking about smart investors legally sheltering £20,000, £30,000, even £50,000 a year from the taxman. That capital could then be strategically borrowed against, or withdrawn, to fund new deposits, renovations, and expand a property portfolio. That entire playbook has been shredded. Let me walk you through the math because the scale of the loss is brutal. Picture a landlord who makes £80,000 a year and has been sacrificing £30,000 into their pension to legally dodge the 40% tax rate. That person just lost £28,000 of their primary tax benefit overnight. That instantly translates into over £11,000 in extra tax payments every single year. £11,000 that was previously going into building their property portfolio is now going straight into the government's coffers. The entire, tax-efficient strategy for property investment just got annihilated. But the financial bleeding doesn't stop with your pension. It gets worse, because they hit you again, right where it hurts the most. Just when you thought you understood the cost of this budget, here is the next layer of financial pain. Every single type of investment income just got hammered with a 2 percentage point tax increase. Property rental income, dividend income, savings interest, everything is going up by 2 points across every tax band. You're a basic rate taxpayer with a rental property? Your tax just jumped from 20% to 22%. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, you're now looking at 42% instead of 40%. But here is the really painful part, the one most landlords haven't fully calculated yet. If you're operating through a property company, you're likely pulling dividend income, and that's getting hit with the same increase. You are being double taxed on your own property empire. One major investment firm ran the cold, hard numbers on this, and the results are shocking. They found that a typical portfolio landlord with just 10 properties could be staring down an extra £8,000 to £12,000 in annual tax bills from this one change alone. Now, stack that on top of the £11,000 loss from the pension cap we just talked about. Some landlords are now looking at £15,000 to £20,000 less annual profit year after year. That's enough to wipe out the entire profit margin on a handful of properties. The entire financial model that has worked for the last decade is now completely upside down. You'd think in all this darkness, there must be some glimmer of good news, and for a moment, the government threw out one small, twisted curveball that gave a tiny false hope. Here is the oddity, the single thing the budget threw in that actually helps a specific group of landlords, a £150 cut to energy bills starting April 2025. This is achieved by the government scrapping the ECO scheme and removing those legacy green levies that have been silently inflating everyone's bills. For HMO landlords who include utilities in the rent, this is genuinely huge. Running a 5-bed HMO could mean £750 straight back to your bottom line every year. Even standard landlords benefit because tenants with lower bills have more money available for rent. But of course, there's a catch. There's always a catch with government policy. Electric vehicle owners are about to get absolutely stung by a brand new road tax, 3% per mile for fully electric cars and 1.5% for plug-in hybrids. That tenant who drives a Tesla, the one who specifically chose your property because you put in a charging point, they are about to see their transport costs explode by hundreds of pounds annually. This immediately and drastically changes the desirability of your property. Suddenly, homes near excellent public transport links just became exponentially more valuable. Those beautiful, countryside conversions that rely on car access? Good luck attracting the eco-conscious professionals who were your target market. This is where the budget reveals its true, deeper intention, and its next target is the heart of the housing market, the first-time buyer. Forget the pension cap and the investment tax. This next change will have a massive, catastrophic knock-on effect for the entire property ladder. Starting in April 2027, £8,000 of your £20,000 ISA allowance must be invested in stocks and shares. You are no longer allowed to hold it as cash. Think about the emotional, devastating impact this has on someone trying to save for a first-time house deposit. Previously, a young saver could stick £20,000 a year into a cash ISA, steadily building up a deposit completely tax-free and secure. Now, they are being forcibly told to risk almost half of that deposit in the volatile stock market. The government claims this is to encourage investment and grow the economy. But let's be honest about the crushing reality, they are deliberately making it harder to accumulate a secure property deposit. They want your money flowing into businesses and stocks, not sitting in a cash account waiting to buy a house. A diligent 25-year-old saving for 5 years could have had a £100,000 cash deposit ready. Now, £40,000 of that has to be in shares that could crash the exact moment they need to make an offer. And notice the cruel irony, over 65s get to keep their full cash flexibility. That tells you everything about who the government thinks already owns enough property. Some analysts are predicting this single ISA change could reduce first-time buyer numbers by 15 to 20%. Fewer buyers climbing the ladder means fewer tenants becoming homeowners, fundamentally shifting the entire rental demand. But there is a fascinating, profitable flip side to this that the smart, professional landlords are already positioning themselves for. As the government slams the door shut on one wealth-building strategy, they are simultaneously kicking another one wide open, and the smart money is already moving. The complete abolition of the two-child benefit limit is projected to lift 450,000 children out of poverty. When you combine this with the minimum wage jumping to £12.71 an hour, your tenant pool, especially younger workers, suddenly has significantly more disposable income and financial stability. Furthermore, the return of face-to-face benefit assessments means less fraud and more reliable housing benefit payments for landlords. The key insight here is the massive increase in stability for family tenancies. Smart landlords are immediately repositioning their portfolios away from single occupancy or student rentals and towards family homes in areas with strong school ratings. These families are about to have substantially more financial stability, making them the most reliable tenants in the entire market. Letting agents are already reporting increased inquiries from larger families who previously couldn't afford a 3-bedroom property. The market is shifting fundamentally beneath everyone's feet, and most landlords haven't even registered the tremor yet. But this is where true fortunes are made, in the chaotic. And the ultimate cheat sheet for where to invest just got handed to you on a silver platter. This is the map to your future wealth. The government is pumping £13 billion into city region transport, with confirmed funding for the Lower Thames Crossing, the Transpennine Upgrade, Northern Powerhouse Rail, and the Midlands Rail Hub. Properties within a mile of new stations on these routes typically see a guaranteed 20 to 30% value increase within 5 years of the completion date. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a complete redrawing of the UK property map, where previously affordable backwaters are set to transform into highly valuable commuter hotspots virtually overnight. The smart money, the developers, and the sophisticated investment firms are not looking at the tax code, they're looking at these confirmed transport corridors. They are quietly buying up everything from student lets to family homes in these zones before the mainstream realizes what is happening. One major developer showed me their internal acquisition heat map, and it is, quite literally, a blueprint of every confirmed transport upgrade announced in this budget. If you are not actively repositioning your portfolio towards these confirmed growth corridors right now, you are leaving 6 figures of future profit on the table. The Northern Powerhouse Rail alone will completely transform property values across Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, and Newcastle. So, what is the grand strategy behind all this financial chaos? The fundamental truth is this: the budget is a colossal gamble. The pension caps, the ISA reforms, and the double-tap property taxes all point in one clear direction: the government is desperate to redirect capital. They want your money working in the broader economy, flowing into productive businesses and stocks, not locked up as untaxed, safe wealth in bricks and mortar. They are betting that by squeezing property investors hard enough, they can force that cash out of the housing market and into infrastructure and economic growth to fill a massive £16 billion tax revenue gap. Whether this brutal strategy works or ends up crashing the property market for everyone remains to be seen. But one thing is absolutely certain: the landscape for property investors has changed forever. The winners will be the ones who adapt today, repositioning towards transport corridors, energy-efficient properties, and the newly stable family rental markets. The losers will be the ones who keep playing by the old rules, thinking they can simply weather this storm like all the previous ones. This budget marks the end of property as the untouchable, safe haven for UK wealth.